Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Dare to Age Well Now. I'm very excited because our guest today is Dr. Judy Scher, and she is coming to us from New Mexico. Dr. Scher, will you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us kind of your area of specialty and what you like to talk about?
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today, Angela. And I love the title of this podcast, Dare to Age Well. It's like going against all societal ways of how we think things are supposed to look as we get older, and especially women. My area of expertise is in brain-body connection.
Mm-hmm.
It's in being able to connect the body, the emotions, the thoughts, and synthesize everything and actually get to the soul level of your being. Because I don't think you can get to the soul level of your being unless you are more connected through this body in an embodied way. So my specialty is getting people to show up for themselves in an integrated way so they can have more choices and become more resourceful in their lives, which is really exciting for me.
It's so exciting. And we had a whole thought process on what I wanted to ask you about. And then you say integrated. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it gets me going because I have been thinking about this word a little bit lately. And I went on a journey to understand the grief that I was wrestling with. And I was very confused because I had gone to therapy, I'd gone to counseling. But then my counselor was telling me that she's like, you still have grief work to do. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I've been to counseling, I've talked through these things. And so the grief journey was really so much about this concept of integrating, right? It was like it was no longer keeping this emotion over here or inside of me boxed up, but it was allowing it to kind of pull through me. So when you think about as we get into this next season of life, why is integration so important?
I think so many of us have had very full, rich lives. We have so much history behind us. We have so many stressors behind us. We've lost people. We've changed jobs. We've either had families or haven't had relationships be fulfilling. We've changed relationships. We've had a plethora of stressors, whether they were emotional or chemical or physical. And so they've accumulated and become part of who we are. And a lot of that has been shoved down subconsciously. And where it goes subconsciously, if it gets thrown to the back of the mind, it goes to the spine. It goes to the brain and spinal cord, which are the subconscious processors of the body mind. So whatever you don't process, it doesn't go away. It hangs around into this structure. And it actually can be seen just like a tree trunk that has rings, and you can see what has happened in its seasons, fire or extreme drought. In our body, what has happened to us is externally being able to, see it through posture, through spinal patterns, through holding patterns, through how we hold our breath, through how we hold our head, and through our vibration. It's all here and written here. And so as we've gone through our life, we shove things down that we don't have an ability to process. Sometimes it's just too much. We don't have the resources. We don't have the energy. So where does it go? It goes into the body. So by the time we're older, all of a sudden, all these things showing up that we were like, hey, that never used to happen to me. And granted, things change in our body, hormones change, and our bodies start to shift, but they've been shifting all our lives. But by the time we're older, something else comes in too when we're more mature. And that is that we realize time is precious and we want to be able to show up in a way that is honoring to our inner voice, our soul, our heart, in a way that we've never been able to. And you're talking about integration. You're talking about being able to connect to the deepest voices of our body mind and not just know things theoretically. It's like, oh yeah, I get that. I know that. But it hangs out here. And yet there's this plethora of wisdom that's within the body mind. And I'm not just talking about somatic wisdom of the body. That's one aspect of it. It's also energetic. It's how we hold ourselves in the world, whether we feel safe in the world
Mm.
or we feel we have to protect. And that shows up in how we hold our body and how we behave and the thoughts we have. And a lot of those things are really unconscious too. And for a lot of women that work with me, what they're wanting more than anything is the ability to really embody themselves
Mm.
at this point. That means bringing all of them forward. Like you can't move forward and leave your body behind.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people says, hey, I got all the other pieces. I've worked on my emotions. I even meditate. But for some reason, this body feels like it's kind of abandoned me in some ways. And it's our fault of our culture that our culture doesn't value what it is to be intimately connected to the body. If I say to an athlete or a dancer, are you connected to your body? They'll say almost unequivocally, yes, of course I am. I use it all the time.
Mm.
But connection to your body is not using your body. It's not just being aware of your body. It's not just being tactile. Connecting to your body means that you're able to listen to the subtle voice of how it's talking to you in the moment.
Okay.
You wanted to say something.
No, I just like I this so since I've been on my own journey over these last 4 years to really understand kind of this whole integration, and I haven't even been talking about it really as integration, but really understanding the emotions, and sometimes my body wants to express itself in ways that I'm not sure exactly. I'm sitting here literally going, "Why are you crying? Why are you crying?" And I'm just tearing. And I have tried to, in this season, tried really hard to just allow that and to just like, I don't know, it's okay. And at least I'm gonna be proud of myself for asking why and not what is wrong with you, which would have been my thing. What is going on? Why are you being like this? You need to be. I'm like, nope. Apparently, I need to be seen by Dr. Judy today, and like I feel like I've understood. There's I think it's a Richard Feinberg quote that says if you can explain something very simply, then you really understand. If you can't explain something simply, you don't actually understand it. And I feel like I just was transported, like something that I said I've written a book about and I speak about all the time. I feel like I just got on an elevator and got a deeper level. So thank you. Just a little caught off guard here. This is not what I was expecting. So, thank you. So much about what you just said is like, wait a minute, like, it's this idea of if not now, when? Like, when are you going to actually finally accept your body? And when are you going to finally like process and these things that have happened to you? And what I think what started the tears is that the way, even the gentleness that you said, we've lived such full and rich lives and had so many experiences, and you didn't say it. We've had so much trauma. And then you said we've had stressors, because we know that even a wedding or a grandchild or those things are still stress, even good stress, right? Changing anyway. And so there's just this element of like acceptance, and even the way you describe the experience of our lives, right? Like that is whew, sorry, I'm a little caught off guard, in a beautiful way.
Can I ask you something then?
Please, I don't have the next question because I'm a little bit surprised right this second.
I want to just create an acknowledgement here. When we talk truth,
Mm.
There's something that lights up in the most sacred part of our being that hears it. And the door opens, and our beings are waiting for that kind of truth. When you said it's important to be seen, it's important for me to see myself, and it's important for others to see me too. There's a nourishment in that at
Mm-hmm.
this time of life too. We want that.
Mm.
And that level of seeing is a sacred part of our journey that we put off a lot as we go through younger years. We may be aware of it, but the maturity hasn't really hit in to understand, we have war wounds, our own life war wounds in a sense. We have the stresses into trauma we've gotten through, we've managed. And oftentimes what happens is we haven't given ourselves what I call a sacred pause, the ability to just take in what we've gone through and acknowledge it so deeply that the cells of our body say yes. And that yes is an explosion of life saying yes to itself. It's not saying I'm, just saying yes to yes, I've been hurt and staying into the mind around it. That yes is an alignment with life itself, saying that I've done this journey and now I get to say yes, and that honors me at my deepest layers. And soon as I do that, I can drop my defense. Life likes to do that. Soon as it's seen, it doesn't have to protect. That's all it wants is, can you see yourself? Can you acknowledge what you really are experiencing in this moment without a story, without making it into a bigger deal than it is? It's just your experience. You get to validate it. And this is the tricky part because the mind wants to control the scenario a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The tricky part is that the mind wants to say, but if you admit this and that, aren't you just reinforcing those things? And that's an illusion. When we actually acknowledge what we're experiencing, it like pops the illusion that we have to protect. And we take a breath and energy starts to move. And all of a sudden we are in the present moment in a way that we couldn't be. And it's not hard. It's actually simple, but it's so profound that the mind wants to make it much more complicated.
Yeah,
So I wanted to ask you something.
please.
Can I ask you something?
Absolutely.
As I'm talking, where in your body do you feel energy right now, or an attraction
Mm-hmm.
to feeling something? Where do
Yeah,
you feel?
it's really interesting you said that because I wear shoes that are essentially barefoot shoes, and I started wearing them to remind myself it was okay to be uncomfortable because I had spent 20 years, 25 years of my adult life saying, "Oh, I just want to be not physical discomfort." And so sometimes I'm walking on rocks, sometimes I'm walking in crazy places, and I just as you were talking that time, I was observing like there's a sensation in my foot, the bottom of my foot, like right in the center that feels like it's burning and tingling like after it has been pierced. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. What is happening with my foot? And why is there this burning sensation? And after the crying, that's where it had moved to, is down there.
So let's just work with it. This is not therapeutic, by the
Yeah.
way. It can have a therapeutic ending to it, but it's not therapy what we're doing. What we're doing is what I would call body mindfulness.
Okay.
It's
Mm-hmm.
bringing ourselves into the present moment and honoring the sacred space. And right now, what you're referring to is what I would call sacred brokenness. You're elevating something that feels uncomfortable to a place of the sacred. And if you were to really focus on your feet and how it feels burning, it's not so much how you're feeling, but what your relationship to it is. Meaning, how do you feel about that burning being there?
Hmm.
What is the feedback that you're getting from your body mind about the fact that you have burning there that you're noticing? What do you feel about that?
Well, my coaching methodology is that I have people describe the color and the shape and the sensation. And then I say, okay, now we're just going to allow it. So we're not going to try and get rid of it. And so I'm trying to practice what I preach, and notice that it's very, very hot. And I'm noticing that it used to feel like it went into my foot, and now it is just in a round circle. And so I'm still chasing the sensation and just observing it, and trying to be curious about what it wants to tell me. And so my practice, I typically will say, okay, now I'm going to be grateful because that is here for a reason, to give me information, even though it's unpleasant to have burning sensation. So if I
Can
send
I
it
back you
some
up for a minute?
gratitude.
I know I'm going to back you up though for a minute. Can I take you on
Sure.
a different track
Yeah, absolutely.
before the gratitude comes in? Let's get more real.
Okay.
Okay. I want to offer to invite you in to experience before you go for gratitude, because that's sort of like down the path.
Hmm.
What is it we want from this? We want to have the freedom, or we want to have the space, or we want to have the gratitude, or we want to receive the gift. But what if we were to back it off up and just feel how uncomfortable it is and just stay there? You had said it to not change it, but let's stay
Right.
there for
To
a minute.
allow. Hmm. Yep.
So allow,
Hmm.
feel how you feel about the burning. Not before you put the gratitude on. Feel how you feel about the burning, and that your feet are expressing it, and that there's discomfort there.
So when you ask me how do you feel about it, for me it takes me out of my body and into my brain, and I don't like to do that. And so what I'm observing is that when you started talking, I started going, "Oh yeah, you didn't spend enough time allowing it. Just allow it. Just allow it. It's just there. It's just there." And what is happening is that it was like this piercing, and now it's like spreading out, and it's dissipating, but it's moving. So to me, it's moving closer to my big toe. So if I have to think about how I feel about the thing, then I like go, oh crap, now I have to get my brain going. I don't feel anything about it because I'm like, oh, cool. Do the thing, you do. You know what I mean? I guess if I had to pick an emotion, it would be curiosity, because I'm like, oh, interesting. You got to feel in some sensations when you're not even in a session. Like somebody's just talking and saying things. Why? How interesting is that? So I would say curiosity if I were to
I
say
love that.
anything.
I
And
love.
it is still moving. It is still just like, just all over. Now it's like a warmth on the bottom of my foot. The whole bottom of my foot is warm except right by my big toe, that joint, it feels just a little warmer. It doesn't feel as like cozy warm. It just feels like, woo, like you stepped on something too hot right there.
Do you have a sense of how it's impacting you just to have this awareness?
The closest thought I can get is something like, oh, you've prepared for this moment. You're ready.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because I can remember when I this 4 years ago in this journey, and I would be like, "What do you mean you want me to feel my pain? What do you what am I? I don't want to just allow pain in my body. I have to get rid of it. No, let me stretch it all out." And so now to like, that's the sense I have, is like, look, you're ready. Ah, for whatever this next learning is like. So that's a cool feeling. Just as like a good on you, girl. Come on, let's go. I don't know. It's a very cheerfully kind of energy. Oh, and now I still feel the sensation in my toe, but it's not hot anymore. So now it just feels tight ish. That's so fascinating. I love this. Anyway, I was not expecting this when we started this podcast.
I know
But
it,
keep
it's
going. I'll
always
let you keep going.
the
What's
healing is
next?
well. What's next is something you said, and I just and a lot of times we shoot beyond things that actually are really quite profound. But you
Yeah.
said something really interesting and important. You said, when I said, how do you feel about it? It gets you in your head. And this is a really good point. We all hear things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, say when I would work with someone, I would want to help the person find, like you, a statement that felt relevant and authentic to you. Because when you hear it and it's authentic and important and significant to you, it'll light you up. And it doesn't have to be my words, but I may not know what those words are initially. So
Mm-hmm.
when we're doing any kind of self-care, self-transformative work, actually how we talk to ourselves makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
The words we use, the questions we ask, some will get right in there, some will kind of take us on a tangent. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that we're not in the right direction, we just have to keep going until we hear the right words that say, whoa, that just got me right where I needed to hear it.
Yep.
And and it wasn't that it was wrong. We just
Yeah.
needed to find in this
Mm-hmm.
moment what's going to light me up to help me discover more about myself. And that's a really important point because no one has the thing to say to somebody else. It's a search.
Yep.
It's a process of being an explorer
Yeah.
of what is showing up in this moment. And I
Yeah.
think it comes back to the fact of as we get older, what an amazing facet to develop that we become spiritual explorers.
Mm.
Instead of, I even say, instead of seekers, instead of trying to seek that we're missing something, we stay as an explorer, that we're always open for the next thing, whatever it is. So it always is taking us into maybe unexpected territory. And I always feel like when we're seeking something, we're trying to land somewhere and find something. And
Yeah.
at this stage of life, to take on the value and the qualities of an explorer allow us to feel there's no wrong answer here. It allows us to stay open in our curiosity, which is a
Yeah.
really high spiritual aspect to work with, to stay curious.
I love that. When I do my last step in the understanding what's going on in my body, I ask, do you have a message for me? And it's interesting because it reiterated the message that I just told you, which is like, you're ready. And the visual it gave me was like if you're a sprinter and you drop into a sprint and you put that back foot backwards where it puts the pressure on your big toe. Like that's literally the imagery that I said when I'm like, what do you got for me? And it's like, you're ready to like shoot
Love that.
off, right?
I
And then the what I think I said before this that we started recording was that I think that this next phase is, it truly is the dawning of a new era, right? And it's a new season for us, and so many people treat it like it's, we're rolling into the season of winter of our life, and I just don't think that's true. I think that when I was 40, my kids were like, Mom, are you feeling weird about turning 40? And I'm like, no, I spent my 20s trying to figure out who I was. I spent my 30s trying to figure out and trying to prove that I was good enough. I'm like, I wouldn't go back to my 20s or 30s for anything. And that's why I'm like, no, no, no. And Victor Hugo says the 40s are the old age of your youth, and the 50s are the youth of your old age. And I feel that. I feel that deeply. And so that's what I like. That's what it feels like, is like you're ready to shoot off into this next season.
I'd like to just bring in that word integration again, because what you said is so profound. I see this as a second spring because
Yes.
we can take off in a whole new way. And it's not the original spring. It's
Right.
a second spring that is already involuted, integrated with all the previous seasons of our
Mm-hmm.
life. So we're bringing those wisdoms forward. and enveloping and integrating and weaving
Yes.
them so that this spring allows us to birth something that is of the most profound sacred soil of
Mm.
our being. And we have the opportunity of that at this time to
Yeah.
go in there. We've composted enough.
I love that. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Our episodes are typically 15 to 20 seconds. I didn't know I was going to have a little emotional thing, and thank you for taking me on a journey. This has been so beautiful. I am just so feel so honored and blessed to have gotten to spend this time with you. Dr. Judy, if someone wants to visit with you and wants to be able to have an experience and explore some of these ideas, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me online if they go to schercenter.com, SCHER center.com. I have a website, I have a healing center here. And I also do transformational mentoring work. It's close to my heart, but I also do very body oriented, brain body connection work. And they can email me, drjudy@judyscher.com. And it's just my name spelled out. And I would welcome any questions. I love doing consultations. I love doing just connections and discovery sessions so we can see what really wants to be birthed at this time and give it voice. So thank you for having me, Angela. It's been a pleasure.
I can't even, we had to reschedule this, and I just think what a perfect. It was exactly as it should have been. So thank you. For all of you, I hope that you go and dare to age well now.